Reed Detmers, in just his 11th major league start, throws just the second no-hitter of the 2022 season, the first solo no-hitter of the year. Joining me now is Jim Callis with MLB Pipeline. And Jim, this is a kid that was just in the minor leagues last season, comes in, hasn't had a lot of big league experience under his belt, and throws a no-no. What more can you tell us about this special young man?
Yeah, I mean, I think that no-hitter showed people why the Angels took Reed Detmers early in the 2020 draft. I mean, he hasn't had a lot of pro experience, got to the major leagues very, very quickly. And he was known coming out of Louisville as being a very polished pitcher, tremendous curveball. You know, he struggled some in the big leagues to that point. But, you know, you could see glimpses of it. He's not a guy who's going to throw 98 and blow the ball by you. He's going to locate his pitches well, and that's what he did. I mean, only 2 strikeouts in that no-hitter, which is a fairly low total for a no-hitter. But he can just really, really pitch, and I think he's going to be a mainstay in that Angels rotation for a long time.
And let's not forget to give some credit to Chad Wallach as well, of course, with Max Stassi and Kurt Suzuki on the IL. Chad Wallach caught that no-hitter, so you want to give credit to his battery mate as well. But it's not just the no-hitter, Jim, where Reed Detmers has shined. He's had a nice season so far in his outings for the Angels, really adding a nice complement to their starting rotation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key for him, I mean, look, we know that the curveball is really, really good. That was his signature pitch coming out of college, and it's played that well in the big leagues. I think the key for him to have success is to be able to keep guys off his fastball, because it's not we're not talking plus fastball he can just blow by guys, but when he locates that fastball, he's very, very effective. And he does have, of the young pitchers who were top 100 prospects coming into the season, he's got some of the best control of any of those guys. So I think as long as he tweaks that fastball command just a little bit more, then he can be really successful for the Angels.
All right, for the Angels, the starter tonight is a young man that we're going to get to know quickly, Chase Silseth. Now, this is a guy, Jim, as you know better than anybody, that was drafted in 2021. He's the first pitcher from that draft that's already making his major league debut, if in fact he does pitch tonight against the Athletics. How are we sure that this is not too soon?
Well, I mean, he's had a lot of success in the minor leagues. And again, I mean, I think with pitchers, it's a little easier than hitters, honestly, Atlanta, that, if you have stuff and you're having success and you've had success in the minors, like, let's see if it translates in the big leagues. I mean, especially with the attrition rate with pitchers, rather than have them waste innings in the minors, if you think they're ready, let's see what they can do. And, of course, if he struggles, you can always send him back down. But it is pretty interesting. He was an 11th round pick last year by the Angels. And they took all pitchers. All 20 picks were pitchers last year, which was historic. I don't think anybody had Chase Silseth in their pool of first 2021 draftee to the big leagues. But, he pitched well, I believe, in the Cape Cod League last summer. He got an overslot bonus in the 11th round, and he's made a lot of progress in the minors. So, I don't know if this necessarily he's here to stay, but if he pitches well, who knows? But it's interesting to see that he's the first guy from that draft to get to the big leagues.
Yeah, it makes a little bit more sense considering the Angels have a 6-man rotation. But I am interested on your take in terms of guys coming up too quickly, Jim. I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with Brian Snitker of the Atlanta Braves about perhaps guys do come up to the big leagues a little too quickly. They know how to have success in the minors, but they don't necessarily have failure in the minors. And when that happens at the big league level, they don't know how to handle it. What's your take on that?
I mean, I think there is some truth to that. I mean, you look at the guys, 2 of our top prospects coming into the season are struggling in the big leagues right now, Bobby Witt Jr. and Spencer Torkelson, and neither one's having much success in the big leagues right now. Now, that said, both those guys had really successful minor league seasons last year, got to AAA, thrived in AAA. So in their 2 cases, I don't know that they weren't ready. I mean, I do think you have to be careful about rushing guys to the big leagues in general, and I do think, especially for hitters, the environment in the big leagues is so hard. I don't know if it's ever been harder to hit in the big leagues than it is right now, Lynn. I mean, you look at velocities up, fastball, movement profiles are nastier than ever. You've got sliders with more sweep, curveballs with more depth. The balls are not the balls that we've been playing with recently that travel as well. They don't. And so I think you should be right. I agree with Brian Snitker in general. You need to make sure your guys are ready, because it is tougher to hit in the big leagues than it ever has been before. And if they're not prepared to deal with failure, they very well might face it. Now, that said, like I said, I do think Witt and Torkelson were ready. They are struggling. The Royals and Tigers are trying to let them work through it, but their numbers are not pretty right now. There's no question.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr., the #1 overall prospect. Spencer Torkelson, the #4 overall prospect. I don't think anybody is worried about those two young men in the long term.